And I grew very quickly with that company and became international sales manager at the time at the age of 25. If you've ever dreamt of starting your own business, if you have an inch of entrepreneurship in you, do it now. Don't ever push it off, because it's much better to live with remorse than to live with regret. I took over Virtu Zone in 2017. We were 64 employees. Our turnover was 20% of what it is now. Today we're 202 employees. Our turnover is 5 times what it was. We're making a lot of noise in the market.
George Hojeige, the CEO of Virtu Zone, a company that has revolutionized the business setup landscape in the UAE. Born in Beirut and raised in Montreal, George's journey is nothing short of inspiring. From his early days in telecoms and medical sales in North America to managing high-profile construction projects in Dubai, George has consistently demonstrated his knack for leadership and innovation. At Virtu Zone, George has been pivotal in maintaining the company's position as the fastest-growing business setup operator in the region and being a thought leader of the industry. Under his leadership, Virtu Zone has not only helped over 60,000 entrepreneurs from more than 180 countries establish their business in the UAE, but also introduced groundbreaking initiatives like accepting cryptocurrencies payment and launching e-commerce accelerator program. Top piece of advice for new entrepreneurs.
It's a roller coaster. Some days.
Welcome back, Alpha Squad, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks show, the #1 fastest growing show in the region. Today we have an exceptional Alpha guest joining us. He's a visionary leader and seasoned business executive with an impressive track record across multiple industries. Our Alpha guest is none other than George Hojeige, the CEO of Virtu Zone, a company that has revolutionized the business setup landscape in the UAE. Born in Beirut and raised in Montreal, George's journey is nothing short of inspiring. From his early days in telecoms and medical sales in North America to managing high-profile construction projects in Dubai, George has consistently demonstrated his knack for leadership and innovation. At Virtu Zone, George has been pivotal in maintaining the company's position as the fastest-growing business setup operator in the region and being a thought leader of the industry. Under his leadership, Virtu Zone has not only helped over 60,000 entrepreneurs from more than 180 countries establish their business in the UAE, but also introduced groundbreaking initiatives like accepting cryptocurrencies payment and launching e-commerce accelerator program. George is a natural communicator, fluent in 4 languages, making him a true global citizen. His extensive network of business and government acquaintances, coupled with his forward-thinking approach, has been instrumental in driving Virtu Zone's success and regional expansion. We are thrilled to have him here to share his insights, experiences, and exciting future plans for Virtu Zone. Please join me in welcoming George to the Alpha Talks show. Welcome, George, to the talk show. Very happy to have you today. It's an honor.
My God, Seif, what an introduction. I'm bluffing. I'm blushing, my man. You've put me off guard to start with.
First of all, you deserve it. You have an amazing track record, and it's an honor to have you with us today.
And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. The first question that I start the show with is always, when we publish the episode and people will see the thumbnail, they will see the graphics, they will see the headline, and they will think it's an extremely interesting episode. What can you promise them today to gain if they gave us their time?
That's a very interesting question. Look, I think you said something, one word that stood out from your introduction is global citizen, right? And I think we live in a city that's plenty of global citizens. We live in a city that's a global city now. True. I've been here for 20 years now, and Dubai has changed a lot in the last 20 years. I promise that in today's webcast or podcast, if you want, we will have a lot of insights on what's happening in the city, where it's come from, where it's going, and the reality behind who's coming to this city, what they're promised, what do they have in their mind,
True,
what are they dreaming about, and what the city offers basically for people who are coming, because it does offer a lot of things.
And I believe people like you are the gateways to people to come to Dubai.
Yeah, we are lucky. We are the pulse of the business coming in, or what you call FDI, foreign direct investment, if you want, right? So, being the biggest corporate services provider in the region, not only in the UAE or in Dubai, we get a first glimpse of who's coming in, how many people are coming in, what they're coming in to do, are they staying?
True.
And it's changed a lot, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, over the years. Dubai used to be a very transient place where people would come for a couple of years, a year. They come open a company here, get a residency, maybe live in Europe or live in Asia or live in America. Well, not anymore. Today they're coming, they're bringing their money with them, they're bringing their family with them, they're buying real estate here, they're putting their kids in schools. it's become a real economy, and it's a matured economy. And you know, I've been here 20 years now. It's changed a lot in the last 20 years.
Of course.
And it's now becoming a real mature economy.
True. I want to go back to your early days. Beirut.
Yes.
How long you stayed in Beirut and how this affected you as a person now?
Actually, again, it's an interesting question. That's pretty good. You're 2 out of 2 now, Seif. That's not bad. Look, I left Beirut in honesty very early on. So as a lot of people know, Lebanon went through a civil war from 1974 till 1990. I was fortunate enough that my dad went to Canada in the 60s and studied in the 60s and graduated as an engineer in the 60s. So in Canada back then, when you were in university and you're an immigrant, they were distributing passports. So, you know, just sign on this, write your name, and, you know, we'd love to have you as a citizen, because that's how Canada grew, out of immigration. So in 1985, we were living in Beirut, and a bomb dropped in the engine of a new car that my dad had bought for my mom as a gift.
Cool.
We were 4 kids, and we were in a room in the basement of the house that was maybe 10 meters away from that car. The next day, my parents packed their bags. We got on a boat because the airport was closed. We got on a boat, and I don't want to make this sound like a big Oliver Twist story. I mean, we got on a boat to Cyprus, where we flew to Canada, and my dad sold the house for 10% of its price to make sure we never came back to Beirut, because he knew there'd be this emotional attachment.
You remember this period of time?
I do, because at the time I was 6 years old. I can tell you stories of loud noises of bombs and of planes crossing over and so on and so forth. Did it traumatize me? Probably did. I don't know. I've never really, you know, I'm sure there's some parts of my character, of traits that are remnants of that. But has it affected my life overall? It hasn't. I'm lucky and one of the fortunate people that were able to leave onto peaceful grounds, and I had a great childhood in Canada, great education, and took it from there.
A quick note, before we jump into this episode, I find this incredibly intriguing. On the back end of our YouTube channel, it says around 75% of you who watch this channel frequently over the lifetime of this channel haven't yet hit the subscribe button. I just wanted to ask you for a favor. It helps this channel so much if you choose to just subscribe. It helps us invite guests that give you great value. It helps us scale the production, and as well makes this show bigger and bigger for you. So if I will ask you just one favor, and if you enjoyed the previous episodes and you're currently enjoying this episode, could you please hit the subscribe button? I love your support. It's incredible to see all your comments and engagement, and we are just starting. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Thank you so much, and I will repay this gesture by making sure that everything we do on this show makes it bigger, and better. I'm committed to do this promise. Do we have a deal? Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me. What happened in Canada? You studied engineering, industrial engineering, and then business.
Yeah. So I'd love to write a book one day about the early days of a young immigrant in Canada. There's a lot of interesting things that we could talk about for hours, but if we want to cut to the chase, basically, look, I was fortunate enough to come from a middle class family where dad was I would say comfortable financially. We grew up in a very peaceful environment, loving environment, and like all good Lebanese kids in a Lebanese family, we were groomed as I would imagine Egyptian kids are. You know, it's not a lot like Westerners. We're you know, our parents take very close attention to us. Went to private schools and then went to university where I studied industrial engineering. Actually, interesting enough, my first year at McGill, I did microbiology and immunology. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and biology seemed too boring, so I chose something that's a bit more complex. Turned out it's really not something I wanted to do.
It was not planned, kind of.
It was not planned. Dad was an engineer. We had this sort of family pressure. You know how it is when you're Arab. You're a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or you haven't studied at all, right? So I picked engineering, probably the easiest one of the. And not only that, I picked industrial engineering, which is probably the easiest engineering to go through. Went through that, and then got hired. Got lucky. I got an internship with an American telecoms company called Harris Telecom, who do microwave communications. Was a quality and continuous improvement engineer.
No, wait, you know, my first job was a quality and.
Are you serious? There you go. We have a lot in common. So did that for a couple of years. Not my thing again. I mean, it's a very technical job. I'm a people's person. I like to communicate this and that. And I got a job with a Canadian company that does paramedical equipment. And that's where I really discovered where my skills were, right? Sales, communications, business development, market, all these things, networking. And I grew very quickly with that company and became international sales manager at the time at the age of 25. Meanwhile, my dad had a contracting firm in Africa and came to see a supplier in Dubai. And now we're talking in 2004. And he calls me up and he says, listen, because dad was in the 70s, was in Saudi, right? And he did, and look, I mean, only a Lebanese guy would say dad instead of my father, exactly. Right? So it's still dad. I'm 46 years old, it's still dad. And he came to see a supplier in Dubai. He called me up in Canada. He said, George, I know you've always wanted to do your own thing. Dubai reminds me of Saudi in the 70s. If you want to do your thing, it's now. Come here, I'll support you. Do something here, and let's do something together. Here I am, 26 years old.
Wow.
My career is off like a rocket. I'm making great money for my age in Canada, more than most of my friends. I'm quite successful, to be honest, in the job that I have. And I love my job. Honestly, I love my job. I love the company I'm working for. I love the founder, very close to the founder. By now, the company's gone public. And the founder is now one of the 10 richest people in Quebec. His name is Marcel Bourassa, which I'll always be grateful to. And I go to Marcel and I say, Marcel, I'm going to leave. And he says, what do you mean you're going to leave? We're doing amazing here, I said, well, I want to move to Dubai. I've always wanted to do my own thing. I'm Lebanese, and Dubai is the place to be.
And Dubai wasn't that.
It wasn't. It was starting to. It was starting to, people were starting to talk about Dubai, but it wasn't the Dubai of today, that's for sure. And he says, well, you're not leaving. I said, well, yes, I am. And he says, okay, I'll make you a deal. Why don't you go open an office for us there? We'll finance it, and we'll go 50-50. Listen, 26 years old, I'm starting to think I'm going to pay myself a salary. I have no money to put in. I'm going there like a king. I start everything like a king. Sure enough, we did that. Things went very well. But sure enough, what I was expecting happened. My dad, after a couple of years, said, listen, I've set up this contracting firm here. It's 10 times the size of your business. What are you wasting your time? What are you doing? This, and that.
Oh, shit.
Why don't you?
Resonates a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a typical story. It's a typical Arab kid story, right? And he's like, look, take your company and make it a division of the company and take it over. I want to retire. It's time for me to go rest, this and that. And surely enough, I took over the business. It was an electromechanical contracting business, which did very well. And made my company a division of that. Ran that for 4 or 5 years. And 2008 happened. Lehman, all construction, everything stopped. And then I spent 2 years of my life basically doing damage control. My dad was old school, so we didn't have any debts or anything like that. We ran the company, through clean cash, and it was self-finance and all that. Thank God for that. So I spent 2 years running after my money, running after invoices that were unpaid, having to let go of people because projects stopped, so on and so forth. And after 2 years, I just turned to my dad. I said, "Listen,
it's done.
I've done my time. I've served the family. I've done my time. I tried to make your dream come true of having your son, run the same route as you. I gotta go. I'm not happy anymore. I wake up in the morning. I'm not happy." And he's like, "You know what? I see it." I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a huge fight, right? So he said, "You know what? I see it. Look, your brother's getting older now. He's taking experience. He'll come and take over. I'll come back and I'll run things until your brother can take over, and I'll hand it over to him." And I never looked at that business again. My brother took it over. He ran it for 8-9 years, then sold it quietly and moved on. I moved into media, as I was telling you before.
ITP.
Yeah, worked for obviously ITP, which was a great school. Became sales director there. We had a great time. I mean, I had a great time at ITP. It was a great school. We started so many magazines. Met so many interesting people.
What were the lessons in ITP? Because ITP at that time was ITP. It was the biggest.
It still is a very, 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 very strong publishing house. Well, it's not a publishing house anymore. It's a media house. Look, I have a lot of respect for ITP. I have a lot of respect for my time there. What was the biggest lesson of ITP? If you're talking from a business perspective, ITP is a great sales school, right? So media is run by sales, right? The whole point of having media is to be able to generate revenue. And I think ITP in terms of sales was a great school. In terms of quality of its products was a great school as well. They never hesitated to invest in people, whether it was salespeople or editorial and so on, to create a great product. And I think till today it still has some of the best products in the market.
Of course.
Right.
How did it shape you? Did it shape the sales skills in you more, the networking skills more?
Look,
you stayed with them 10 years.
Yeah, it's it's a military style of sales structure, which is good, right? You need discipline. In sales, I'm a big believer that in sales you need discipline. You might have the skills and these are skills that you don't teach. You can't teach sales skills. But if you don't have a structure in which to sell, especially in a big organization like that, where you have many different products, many different salespeople, many different departments, you need to have some sort of discipline and some sort of I call it military. Maybe that's a bit too harsh, but some sort of a very strong structure and big metrics, right? You got to follow metrics. You got to be able to follow on a regular basis. I mean, I remember ITP every week we used to look at numbers, look at progress,
KPIs,
how much we're short,
MBOs,
KPIs, and so on and so forth. And that taught me a lot in terms of the skills that I have now. So, how do we get to the Virtu Zone?
Yeah, exactly.
That's your next question. I see it in your eyes. So, Jeff Rapp and Neil Petch were the founders of Virtu Zone in 2009. Very good friends of mine, and they came out with the idea of, look, there's a lot of people coming to Dubai. The price of starting a business in Dubai and the barriers were still quite high. It was much easier in the Northern Emirates, and specifically in Fujairah. Excuse me, specifically in Fujairah. So they went to Fujairah Creative City, met with the people that were running the show there and said, look, we want to start a business in Dubai that helps people start easier, lowers the barriers, lowers the cost, and so on and so forth. And they actually started the business in partnership with one of the sheikhs of Fujairah at the time. Later on, bought him back, and that's how it started. So they started in JBR. They had an office selling Fujairah licenses, which was unheard of in Dubai before. That went very well, and slowly they started, picking up traction. Started having copycats. Obviously, every successful business has copycats. Today, there are 3,200 corporate services providers in the UAE.
Oof.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So the guys started talking to me when I was at ITP, and they're like, George, you need to join us. We need an Arabic speaker. We deal with a lot of government. We deal with a lot of Arabic entities. So Jeff's Australian and Neil's British. And quite honestly, I was very good at, I was enjoying ITP. I had a great position, and I was remunerated quite well. So it wasn't working, right? They were still in Virtu Zone was just picking up, and it wasn't working until 3-4 years later, and they kept on going, and we kept on talking until the time came where it was right to actually make the move. So I moved into Virtu Zone with equity, so I became a partner. So we were now 3 partners, and I was appointed CEO or group CEO of there. With Neil being the chairman and Jeff being non-executive at the time.
Let's talk about Virtu Zone a little bit for even the audience to understand. What is Virtu Zone now versus back? So overall, it's a service provider. Yeah. What kind of services Virtu Zone provides?
So that's a good question. So as I told you, Virtu Zone started off selling Fujairah Creative City licenses, right? One Northern Emirate, a cheaper solution if you want to start a business than what you had in Dubai. Today, Virtu Zone deals with every single free zone in the UAE, which there's over 52 free zones, and deals with every single mainland department of all 7 Emirates. We have served so far over 70,000 companies. We've started over 70,000 companies, which is a crazy number when you talk about it. At the time, obviously, we were talking about licenses and visas. Today, Virtu Zone offers over 50 services for SMEs, right? So it's much more than starting your business. It's actually managing your business at the beginning. So anything you can think of, from bank account opening to insurance to accounting to taxation to VAT, compliance, human resources, all these things. When you're starting a business, you don't have the means to be able to hire all these people. So we offer all these services, which you call corporate services. And our revenue model has massively shifted in the last few years from licensing and visas to corporate services, because that's the future, right? Licenses are becoming commoditized. If you go into the US or Europe, in 15 minutes you open a company online, it costs you $50.
True.
We're going to get there in Dubai. Sooner or later, we're going to get there, especially with the introduction of corporate tax and so on and so forth. So we recognized that danger 3-4 years ago, because it was danger to our existence, right? That's our revenue stream. So we took that pivot about 3-4 years ago, and it's been non-stop growth since then.
You've talked about there are over 3K companies similar to kind of Virtu Zone.
Yeah.
What makes you stand out then? Of course, they're providing corporate services. They're doing the licensing, but I believe the quality or...
Look, I think there's always a first mover advantage, right? We have 15 years of experience. 15 years of experience in which we've learned a lot, in which we've made a lot of mistakes, in which we've lost a lot of money, in which we've invested a lot of money. To give you an idea, we spend right now We spend around $2 to $2.5 million a year in marketing, right? I guarantee you, the 3,200 other companies, none of them spends 10% of that, right? It's a business that we've built throughout the years. It's a business that we've perfected throughout the years. Excellence of delivery is very important for us. The excellence of the service. We are not the cheapest in the market, but there's a reason we're not the cheapest in the market, because we have high costs in order to be able to deliver a stellar service and quality. And when you're starting a company, you can't mess it up. It's not, oh, you know what, I'll just redo it again or whatever. You have to get it right from the beginning, and that costs a lot of money. So, and time and mistakes and so on. So being around for 15 years and spending so much money, we've been able to perfect it. That's what makes us stand out.
Do you remember any success stories, like companies that started with you guys and then suddenly became a unicorn? Doesn't need to be a unicorn, but like well-established names.
Look, the unicorns in Dubai, you can count them on one hand.
True.
Right? And these guys did not set up with us. But we have many success stories of companies that turn into many multi-million dollar companies. We have multinationals that are dealing with us as well, right? We don't only have SMEs and micro businesses. We have large chains of hotels. We have huge restaurants. We have big firms that, you know, I can't talk about everything, but we have big firms that deal with us as well. And this is something that we've developed also throughout the last few years, is dealing with multinationals, because we are able to provide them with services at a scale which is cheaper for them than to having to hire in-house to do all these services.
George, I want to ask you a question, because a lot of people, I believe, they think once I want to set up a company, I will email an email, give my passport, my visa, and there's somebody sitting over there just doing the documentation. What is the back office of setting, or the kitchen that makes you set up a company?
So a lot of things come into play, right? And one thing that people have to understand, Seif, it's not a one size fits all, right? There are so many things that come into account when opening a company. So how many shareholders are you? What kind of activities do you want to do? How many employees do you want to have? Do you want to have an office? Where do you want to have the office? What's the size of the office? What activity do you want to do? Where's the money coming from? Who are you going to sell to? Are you going to sell to in the UAE, outside the UAE? That will determine a lot of things. It will determine, do you need to be in a free zone? Do you need to be in a mainland? How many visas do you need? What kind of packages do you need? What jurisdiction is best for this activity? We're going to open a bank account for you. Which bank is going to have appetite for your type of profile, and so on and so forth. A lot of things come into account only from our advisory point of view. So you're asking me, what is the differentiation? I think our advisory is so sharp now after 15 years that we've seen almost every single situation you can have. We can tell you, we can tell you eyes closed, this is what you need to do, and be careful from this mistake and that mistake. This is how we need to set you up. So only that kitchen, call it the front kitchen. So many things that come into play. Then after that, when you leave the front kitchen and we've prepared you and we've said this is what we're going to do, and it goes to the back office, which is the government offices and the immigration offices and all that, then there's a whole lot of steps that you have to go to in order to get this done. Now, obviously, Dubai being Dubai, this has become super smooth and super quick and so on and so forth. But you still go through a lot of things that you don't necessarily see. One of them being security, the other one being KYC, compliance, all these things.
Roughly, how many employees Virtu Zone has?
We have together today, not roughly, we have 207 employees.
Wow, 207 to run this.
Yeah.
One of the main things that I loved when I was reading your profile and Virtu Zone is you have a very innovative mindset.
We do.
So you create products or services that moves, I don't want to say with the trends, but makes the consumer journey easier. Like you introduced the cryptocurrency payments.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why it came to your mind?
Look, Seif, when the problem or the challenge is, and I always like to say that we're victims of our own success, right? We were pioneers in this market. And when you're a pioneer, people will copy you.
True.
Right? One of the biggest competitors we have is basically a person that was our client, came and asked us, how do you do this? How do you do that? And then went and opened a competing company using part of our name and part of an entity that we were dealing with without naming them. We're victims of our own success. So we need to be constantly innovating to be ahead of the game. The number of companies that I could show you that have popped up, V-Zone, Virtual Zone, VV Zone, VZ Zone, using our websites, using our colors, using our things. The number of people that imitate any new product or service that we bring in within 2, 3, 4 weeks, or new concepts is just, it's countless.
Yeah.
So we have to constantly be innovating in order to be seen as the thought leaders, or to be seen as the leaders in this market. And we have no choice.
True.
We cannot rest on our laurels. We cannot sleep for a minute, because hyenas are around trying to grab that space.
True.
That pushes us to always come with new solutions, to always be innovative, to follow trends, to be trendsetters, actually, not to follow trends, but to be trendsetters. The crypto payments was part of that at the beginning. Look, Dubai was welcoming so many crypto, and with time, for example, we now started working with regulated crypto entities only, because also when you're doing that, all eyes are on you, right? So, we have some people knock on our door saying, hello, what are you doing? Be careful. We want to see that you have this under control, that you're not dealing with anything shady, or so on and so forth. And that made us learn and become bigger as well.
I loved it. And what was the impact of introducing such service on your business?
Look, we're always looking to broaden the horizon, or broaden the pool of clients or potential clients we can have. So when you're opening up something like, for example, crypto, you're talking about, call it tens of thousands of companies worldwide that are looking to set up somewhere regulated. So you're bringing all these companies to Dubai. When you're talking about, medical field, or you're talking about the oil and gas field, or any of those fields, e-commerce, for example. E-commerce before crypto was the biggest thing, right? So you had all kinds of platforms here that you could use to start e-commerce easily. So this opened the door to so much.
Is this the same as the e-commerce accelerator thing or not?
Look, e-commerce accelerator. There's a lot of programs that we did over the years, and we do over the years, where we try to stimulate, if you want. Look, we can have the best salespeople in the world. I can't send them in the street to convince people to start companies, right? This is not selling shoes, or selling cars, or selling something that everybody needs. I have to be able to identify. We have to be able to identify people when they're entrepreneurs quite early, and put it in their head that when you want to start your business, you have to come to us, because we are the best in the market, which is the reality, right? So we always create programs to entice them. Last week or 2 weeks ago, actually it was last week, we have an event every year that we call the Launchpad. And in that Launchpad, we have aspiring entrepreneurs that are thinking of starting their business, that can come and meet with all our partners, with bankers, with this, with that, with this. And we have a discussion panel, and they could just mingle with all our people and ask the questions that they want to ask for absolutely free.
Wow, I love that.
Ask them, how long does it take me to open a company? How much money do I need to open a company? How do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a bad idea? Do you think this? Do you think that? And we do that once a year, and all that, the accelerator program, all these things are part of initiatives that we take to encourage people, that last step that you need to take. Just everybody, look, most people have entrepreneurship in them. Everybody, whether it's an employee who's been an employee for 25 years, dreams of one thing, having his own thing, or has an idea one day, says, one day I would love to do this. It's a question of, pricking them to take that step and do it.
I have a very nice question, because, a lot of organizations, or a lot of leaders that I talk to, it's not easy in an organization to implement a culture of innovation. How do you implement, as a CEO, how do you make sure that the people around you are innovative to stay ahead of the game?
That's an excellent question. The two toughest things in managing people are two things. The first one is, it's impossible to teach people to care. That's the number one thing I can tell you. The second thing is, when you're teaching a culture, it's very difficult to make everybody get in line with that culture. What is the best thing to do? And the most important thing to do is to lead from the front. So practice what you preach. So caring, if you don't care about your people, they're not going to care about you. So you start with caring about the actual people. A lot of people have family problems, they have personal problems, they're unhappy about something, they have financial problems, they have this. The first thing that's essential to us, and we just got named or listed as best places to work, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Is caring about your people. If you care about your people, they will care about you, they will care about your company. That's number one. Innovation. Very tough. That's a great question, because it's very, very, very difficult to have that, to put that innovation or innovative culture into people, because not everybody is innovative, right? And the guy who's there and he doesn't have an innovative mind, you cannot teach him how to be innovative.
Push him, true.
But what we do is we encourage our people to come up with ideas. We have a forum where you can come up with your ideas, email your idea, whatever idea you have. And if it's a good idea, we put our efforts, our money, and our mouth behind it. And our mouth being our marketing. And a lot of the things that you see in Virtu Zone today that were very innovative actually came from our employees. And it's not only us. It's not only me, Neil, and Jeff sitting there saying every day, coming up with new ideas. Our people, our seniors, our managers, and we encourage that all the way down the hierarchy. We encourage them to come up with innovative ideas, and we support those ideas. And this is very important, very difficult to teach, and by the way, very difficult to manage. I'm not going to lie 100%. To you and say, we have it down to a science. We don't.
True. What is the plans for Virtu Zone? What should we expect from it?
Look.
And before that also, I believe that Virtu Zone is adaptive to what's happening in Dubai.
Correct.
So what do you see coming in Dubai so Virtu Zone will adapt to it?
So I think one of our biggest strengths, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, is our agility. Mm-hmm. Dubai itself, by definition, is a super agile city. I mean, look what happened in COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way COVID was handled in Dubai was just amazing. I mean, it makes you really proud, right, to live in a city like that with a government so agile that they're able to navigate around these things, take decisions in split seconds and implement them the next day. And it's fantastic. And Virtu Zone has learned from that it's very important for us to be agile all the time in terms of business. And the nature of our business forces us to adapt to changing legislations. From one day to the next, you have corporate tax. Yeah. Everybody has to follow corporate tax. True. From one day to the next, there's the business legislation changes. From one day to the next, the type of people coming in changes. The number of people coming in changes. The processes change. We have learned how to become very agile with this. Where are we going in the next few years? If you ask me, we're going to continue adding to the services that we offer. I would say we add in one new service at least every month, depending on the needs of our clients. And we're getting more and more sophisticated, right? At the beginning, we used to say, this is too complicated to manage. No, now we're not afraid of adding a service, adding people, creating a team for that specific service. Who's coming to Dubai? Who's not coming to Dubai, to be honest? Who's not coming to Dubai? But listen, in general, the trend that we see is whenever there's a
problem somewhere,
unfortunate situations in other places in the world, people are just, massively moving here. Look, I'll tell you an anecdote. I was in Naples, in Italy, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got into a cab. I was going to see my friend, who's a famous football player, by the way, and I start speaking to the taxi driver. He doesn't speak much English. I speak a bit of Italian, we speak Spanish, so I could understand each other. And from here to here, he asked me, so where do you live? And I say, I live in Dubai. He says, ma Dubai, il centro del mundo, the center of the world. Yeah. And this is a taxi driver in Naples, Italy. So if this guy, to him, Dubai is the center of the world, imagine to the people that are in the big metropolises. Dubai has truly become a destination worldwide, a dream destination for a lot of people. Never mind the media and what you hear on the media and the Western media. There's a lot of jealousy, in my opinion, going on there and so on. But the reality is Dubai has become very, very attractive. It's marketed itself in an exceptional way, and the infrastructure follows what's marketed.
True.
So people are coming here and say, shit, this place is really, really cool. This is an amazing place. This is not only what I see on TV. This place is amazing. I want to live here. I want to work here. I want to start up something here. I want to bring my family. True. I want to retire. All that stuff. So I forgot what the question was, but all that to say that it's the next 10 years, adapting to the people that are coming. Like now we're starting to see a Chinese wave of people coming in, right? We had the Russians, we had the Arabs from the Arab Spring, we had all the COVID immigrants, if you want to call them immigrants. We had Lebanon before that with the Lebanese crisis. And there's always something going on in the world but now, look, we serve today over 68 nationalities. Okay, to give you an idea, our biggest nationality is British, and they represent under 5% of our clients. No way. So imagine the diversity of people that are coming here. It's fantastic. Wow. It's truly fantastic.
Can I extend on this a little bit?
Yep.
We see, and I want to get your view on it, Saudi on the other side. Do you operate in Saudi as well? Or not?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What is because a lot of people, I will not say don't want to say even knowledgeable people, but people who have less knowledge in this, let's go Saudi, it's booming, it's trending. But personally, I believe setting up companies in Saudi versus UAE is still much easier in setting up the companies.
Of course, look, Saudi is definitely up and coming, and it's a great place for doing business. But don't forget, it took Dubai 20 years, 25 years to become what it is today. Things are not created from one day to the next. as I was saying about Virtu Zone, there's trial and error that happens. You make mistakes, you waste money, you invest, you this, you that. It takes time to build something like Dubai has built today. No matter how much money you throw at something, you're not going to be able to do it overnight. The infrastructure in Saudi, when it comes to setting up, is still very different from Dubai. Dubai has gotten it down to a, it's a well-oiled machine, very quick, very efficient, and that's going to take time. Even for Saudi, it's going to take a long time before we get there. So yes, of course. I mean, look, I think it's great for Dubai that Saudi is doing so well. It's great for the region. I think it's going to bring in a lot more people to the region. And there's a lot of cooperation happening between the two economies in the two countries, but it will take time definitely for Saudi to become at the level of where Dubai is in terms of processes and in terms of efficiency. I think
it took 20 years, of course. George, very interesting questions and answers about Virtu Zone and what you guys do, but I want to dig a little bit in, George. What does success means to you? Like after all these years.
Well, that's a very general question. Can you elaborate a bit? Like success in what sense?
When you say like
to me,
yes,
to
to
you,
to you as George.
Personally?
Yeah. That you're proud of.
Oh, that's a very private and intimate question.
Like it's a family thing or it's an accomplishment.
No, I'm happy to answer. But right away you went into something. Look, I think. Let's not talk about success. Let's talk about happiness. What's happiness? I think happiness today, in this day and age, starts with health. Okay, I don't want to be cliche about it. It starts with health. We're seeing so many mental health problems around. So many unhappy people. So many people that are quietly unhappy, quietly not well. We're starting to talk more and more about it today because it's accepted too.
True.
But I think mental health and health in general is at the base of any happiness. Look, in terms of financial wealth, health, happiness, I think this differs a lot from one person to the other.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends. I'm a very social person. And it's so crazy how some people really don't care about finances. And some people, it's the most important thing in the world for them. Their definition of health and success is finances, whereas others, their definition of health and success is health. Pure, and happiness. To me, what is the definition of success? It's going to sleep every day, being content, and waking up every day and looking forward to your day. I think if you have those things in your life where you go to sleep at night and you're content, satisfied with your life, and you wake up in the day and you're looking forward to your day, whatever your day is like, I think that's you've achieved success.
Was it the same success definition for you when you left your family business? That's why you left?
No. I think the definition of success, the definition of happiness changes with age and with your situation. Today I have a family, I have 2 kids, two lovely daughters. My definition of happiness and success today, I can guarantee you, is not the same as my success when I was 21 and going out clubbing every night, right? It wasn't the same definition. So look, when I started running the family business, to me, success was to make sure that this family business grew and that my dad was proud of me,
you.
right? And you know what I'm talking about, because I see that we have more or less the same paths. When I left the family business, my definition of success was to prove to them that I could do it on my own, that I didn't need them, right? You know what I'm talking about there as well. My definition of success when I took over Virtu Zone was to prove to my 2 very close friends that I'm gonna take this to the next level, right? My definition of success today is might be a financial target that I have in my head, right? To triple, quadruple, whatever it is, the turnover of the company, or to have 10 times more employees, or to serve 10 times more customers. So it's a very difficult question to answer specifically. But yeah, I think if you wanted one general answer, what's the definition of success and happiness to me, is going to bed at night feeling satisfied about what you've accomplished and waking up looking forward to your day ahead. Because trust me, I've had days in my life when I wasn't happy or successful, where I was dreading the day ahead.
If I ask you, with a person with such career, what was your favorite failure? The one that you were grateful for, that changed you?
I've had many failures. I've made many mistakes. Look, if a leader sits down and tells you, I've never made a mistake, he's bullshitting. He's completely bullshitting you, right? You don't become good at what you do unless you've made mistakes. And I believe Sheikh Muhammad said this a few years ago. He said, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. One specific
big one.
occurrence that comes out of my mind. I regret that in the construction business, we were too greedy. We reinvested everything in the business all the time instead of pulling out some money out of it and actually enjoying some of that money. That is one big mistake, because at the end of the day, you know, we lost it all, if you want to say. I mean, we lived very well, but we lost everything that we did because we reinvested it in the company. Do I regret? I regret. There's many things that I could talk about. Look,
Then let's switch it. This I got it. Proudest moment in your career so far till now?
I think what we've done with Virtu Zone. Definitely what we've done with
I can
Virtu
see it in
Zone.
your eyes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I took over Virtu Zone in 2017. We were 64 employees. Our turnover was 20% of what it is now.
MashaAllah.
Right, and today we're 202 employees. Our turnover is 5 times what it was. We're making a lot of noise in the market. I think we did a survey. 8 out of 10 people in Dubai have heard of Virtu Zone, which is fantastic. I mean, come on, we're an SME here. We're not
Exactly.
we're not a multinational. We're not a huge corporation.
Not
So
a
so it's a great accomplishment.
I have a couple of questions. Shoot. Which I call the quick fire. So I'll ask you a couple of questions. Need quick answers.
Yeah.
So, what's a morning routine you must have?
Seeing my daughters in the morning and kissing them and my wife before I go to work.
One word to describe Virtu Zone.
Innovative.
Your favorite book. I don't fucking read.
My favorite book. That's a good question. I have a lot of favorite books in different. I like history, and I like. Look, my favorite book is a book called By Way of Deception, which
I even never heard about it.
it's by an author called Viktor Ostrovsky, and it explains the ins and outs of the Mossad, and which is timely. Perhaps you want to cut that one out.
I like this one. Top piece of advice for new entrepreneurs.
It's a roller coaster. Some days you'll wake up, you'll be the king of the world, and some days you'll wake up and say, "What the hell have I done?" Never give up.
Favorite city you lived in.
Dubai.
How do you stay motivated and inspired in challenging times?
Good question. It's a natural hunger, I think. I don't think that I have to do anything to do it. It's a natural hunger to always do better and better and better and achieve new heights. You can't teach that.
True. One thing you can't work without.
Honesty.
This is important because I want to see this in you. What is something that somebody has told you that has hurt you and you've never forgotten?
You expect people to treat you the same way you treat them, and that's your biggest downfall.
Okay, describe yourself in 3 words.
Passionate, honest, entrepreneurial.
In the Alpha Talk show, we have a question, one of the Nugget Questions. It's when I ask you to define what's an alpha from your perspective. What's an alpha?
An alpha is a leader, in my opinion. An alpha is somebody who influences other, who's a leader, who's looked up upon. Alpha to me, I asked you that question before we had the podcast, right? And what do you mean by alpha? Alpha to me is somebody who's a leader, definitely. Somebody who commands respect. I think that's what the definition of alpha comes down to.
True. We've talking about innovation. Since I have a podcast, I always have to innovate as well to stay ahead. So there is a new section I have added, and you're the first one.
Oh, great. I'm your guinea pig.
Yeah, a trial test. So I call it the Alpha Quick Choices with George. So I'll ask you 2 things and you will pick one.
Yeah.
So tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Downtown Dubai or Dubai Marina?
Downtown.
Are you an early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Free zone setup or mainland setup? Choose one.
Depends on your company. I can't choose one. It's you can't choose one. It depends on what you look. Long-term mainland.
Long-term mainland. Networking event or one-on-one meeting?
One-on-one meeting.
Cryptocurrency or traditional currency?
Traditional currency.
Virtual meetings or in person?
In person, definitely 1,000%.
Reading a book or listening to a podcast?
Reading a book.
desert safari, or a yacht cruise?
Yacht cruise.
Oof.
That's it.
The last nugget question, which is, you ask me any question that comes to your mind. Just one question.
One question for you.
Yeah. We switch the seats.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
I'm not sure of the city.
No, not where do you want to be physically. Where does Seif want to be who does Seif want to be in 5 years?
One of the world's most influential person in the leadership, personal development, and media industry.
The world's.
Word.
And if you're not?
I will push it a little bit further. I'll keep after it.
So more time.
A little more time.
But you will pursue it.
100%.
Good on you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I love the question.
Thanks, man.
You hooked me off. What will be the last message you want to leave the audience with today?
If you've ever dreamt of starting your own business, if you have an inch of entrepreneurship in you, do it now. Don't ever push it off, because it's much better to live with remorse than to live with regret.
I love that. The last section of the Alpha Talks, we have what we call the Alpha Talks memoir, where the Alpha guests have to do a couple of things. Sure. Part of them is after the show, which you write about your experience in the show. And the second thing is you write a question to the next Alpha guest. So it's a way of communicating with the Alpha guest, not knowing who wrote the question. So are you ready to answer?
Cool. Yeah, sure.
Sir? Oof. Okay, if you lost everything you have at the moment, fame, money, everything, what's your plans to build your legacy again?
I'm not afraid of losing everything, because I've built it, and I think I can build it again anytime. As long as I have my family, my brains, and health.
And the character that you built.
It's part of your health, it's part of your brains, it's part of who you are. As long as I have my family and I'm healthy, I could lose it all tomorrow and rebuild it. I have no problem. If you look at most of the successful people in the world, they've fallen and gotten up millions of times.
True. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. Love the conversation, love the flow, love the answers, and I believe all the audience will love it as well. Thank you very much for being
Thanks for having me, Seif. Love your studio. Thanks to your crew, very nice people, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Seif El Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.